Cool. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of What the Fuck is an NFT? Every single week, we bring to you the latest and greatest developments in NFT technology, Web3, crypto, Metaverse. I'm joined today with my two good friends, Robert Neal, once again, as always, and Mr. Aman Purba, A-Purbs, the Purbatron himself.
How's everyone doing? Good?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah?
Doing pretty good. Just waking up though.
Yeah, now? It's like one where are you located?
New Jersey.
Oh, you're in New Jersey. Okay. Wow.
Long weekend.
Wow. That's awesome.
So I thought for today's podcast, we can do something a little bit differently. I didn't set the agenda, but on today's podcast, Rob and I were talking about being super meta with this meta podcast and kind of like building as we go, building this community as we go. So last week we talked about what is an NFT community, how to find NFT communities that you can be part of and how to join them. And on today's podcast, I thought it'd be really cool to kind of like expand on that and talk about the community that we are trying to build and we're attempting to build here today, or with through this podcast. So you guys don't know each other, which I think is cool. So we're getting for the first time just meeting up and really just having like a candid conversation about what we want this brand to be about, like very unscripted, like no rules type of thing, and just kind of like feel out what we want as individuals, you Aman, you Rob, what I want as well, what we want out of this, and what we would like to bring to this NFT space in general.
Yeah, no, I think I think we talked earlier this week, and I think one of the greatest points that we made was when you're creating this NFT community, how do you go about creating this NFT community? It's through creating content around NFT, what these people would be interested in, right?
Yeah.
So this was like one of the things that Connor and I talked about, Rob, was just how do we just like create valuable content that people are willing to just watch and kind of participate in, to then eventually join the community that we're trying to create, right? And I think, like I said, it all starts with just in its most basic form, just creating content, right? And we talked about this. So what I know that
without content, there is nothing. There is nothing.
Exactly. So content is like what is going to bring people to the community, right? And I know that I'm not like, I know Chris has told me, Rob, that you're like I would say an expert in the NFT realm. No, I've heard you're not you're an expert. You're too humble. But
yeah, I honestly think that this would be really good to kind of like go over our special skill sets, like what we bring to the table, and like why, because that's what essentially a community is.
Yeah.
Right. Back in the olden times, like there were hunters and gatherers, there were planters and producers. Like people in communities have specialized skills to focus on that specialized skill, so that everybody as a mass, as a community, can leverage each other and be net more effective and productive altogether. So I think that it's really important, since we are talking about communities, to talk about ourselves and what we can individually bring to the table. So I thought it was really cool because Rob, like you have like, you're one of the smartest dudes I know, and I don't mean to like to blow smoke up your ass or anything, but like, and let me caveat that I don't mean specifically from a financial point, like intellectually speaking, but emotionally, I feel like your emotional intelligence is, like, from the people I know, off the charts. And when it comes to investing and when it comes to money and finance, emotional intelligence is key. So, and then you also have that layered component of understanding the space and the technology and all that layered in as well. So I feel like those two core components are like really like built in your understanding of this technology. And then Aman, for you, like your whole background is content, creating like viral content and understanding the inner workings of what makes things, why people watch things, and what makes content like really good, and what separates like super good content from the 99% of the content that just lay there and like nobody watches or engages or does anything. So you're coming from a content perspective. Rob, you have like that more of like the technological aspect and the finance background and everything like that. And I guess myself, you know, if I had to put into words, would be like just organizational structure and like tying these two pieces together. It's two components, because Rob, you have the information and the knowledge and understanding, and then Aman, you have the distribution and the creative understanding of how to make this information consumable to the masses, and how to make, like, education is out there, information is all over the internet, anybody can find out this information just by doing a simple Google search or YouTube or finding a Discord channel. But it's the way that we communicate the education and get people to really truly understand, and I think that's done through, you know, through content.
Yeah, like like we said, like everything that you need to know or want to know about something is out there. All you have to do is do a search, right? Google search. But the way you can present it. So for example, I told, like, I was talking to Chris the other day too. It's like, if you want to create content around any like niche, all the information is out there. You just need to be able to regurgitate it in a consumable way, right? So you can start like creating a YouTube channel, for example, which a lot of like people want to do now, right? Because everyone wants to be a content creator. Everyone wants to like make money through their own terms, right? And it's like, if you have a specific niche, all you have to do is a little homework, do your research, right? And then whatever articles and stuff that's already out there, you just kind of regurgitate it in a way that is, I guess, more entertaining, consumable, and kind of just like overall fun. So that's what I want to try to do with this, is kind of like, all right, how do we kind of create this content in a more consumable way for the people who are interested in NFTs and crypto and all of that stuff? You know what I mean? So the distribution wise, like, I feel like I have, like you said, I excel in that. That's something that I know a lot of. My only problem is I was never able to figure out what my niche was, right? So I was always just like, because like, it's like, yeah, I can do all this stuff. Like, I can pick any niche that I kind of want and just kind of go into it. But it's like, it's like, do I really enjoy that specific niche? Yeah, I could do that, but it's like, it's not enjoyable to me. So I haven't really found that niche. So right now, that's what I'm trying to do, is find that stuff out. And like, education is like the biggest thing that I love, like just being able to educate people on random things. So I was honestly thinking of getting into that, but I just didn't know what to educate people on, right? So because there's so much information out there. So
why did you say yes to this, Aman? And
this,
yeah,
because
is
I
NFTs
myself am super interested in NFTs and crypto, because it's like, it's such a booming like kind of like an industry thing, right? It's like a booming like thing that's going on. Everyone is like talking about NFTs, everyone's talking about crypto, and it's like, I don't want to be the person that doesn't hop on the wave, right? You know what I mean? And I'm like, damn, all these people just made a shit ton of money or whatever, and like, I didn't catch the wave, you know?
Where money flows, attention goes.
Exactly.
Everybody wants to be rich.
Exactly. So this is my way of like, and it's also a way for me to get educated, because like, I don't know anything about NFT space. Like, I just know that people are, for some reason, are loving it, right? So it's a way for me to get educated, to learn more about it, and then a way for me to kind of invest into it. So that's why I wanted, like, yo, this is something that I would like to be a part of, because like, I don't want to miss this train.
Yeah, man. Yeah, same boat. I'm in the same boat there.
Yeah, exactly. So Rob, what are your thoughts, man? You haven't said a
As
word
al-
yet.
I know. As always, I have a lot of thoughts, and I tend to I tend to go on along with it. So I mean, one thing that I thought was funny is that I wrote down my content bring all the girls to yours because you said, but I actually think it's a cool phrase where it's like the content is what people coming for. It's like, and then you basically form around that content. So I thought that was a cool, easy piece of insight. I also thought about the fact that it seems like education is your niche. Like I want to retire as a teacher myself. So I think maybe you should think about that as your niche where you just educate and then you can focus on like, what are you curious about educating right now? And then you just keep moving on and but like the education becomes your core pillar throughout.
Yeah.
I think the way we started this conversation was just talking about like what our core skills was. And like, for me, mine is just problem solving. Like I kind of like to go Gary Vee. Like he says his is understanding attention. Mine is understanding how to problem solve. And the way I problem solve is I just go first principles. Like what is going to be true regardless of the changing landscape? What are the primitives that like no matter how you dress this are always true? Like what's not going to change in 20 years about business? Like that's kind of how I try to illustrate it. And I spend most of my time in software engineering. And now I'm learning marketing and sales, which Chris is one of my teachers.
Oh man.
Along with this gigantic stack of books that I have here
Wow.
that I'm just like reading through. So a lot of books, a lot of courses. Gary Vee obviously is someone I just watched a lot to learn from. So anyone practicing the skill, any books I can get, friends that already have the skill. So that's kind of it. But in general, my thought about, because I think the core of your question is like, what's my thought on like where we can take this channel? Is that it? Or is it more like, what's my thought around content?
Yeah, basically like, where do you think we could take this stuff from? Like from right now where we are, very in the baby stages, the beginning stages of, and how do you kind of think we can navigate to where we want to be? Like, what are your thoughts? Like,
so this comes from me, like one of the things I like to do is like, I just watch other practitioners and see how they do things. And then I feel more confident in my ability to do it. Like if I have a friend who's succeeding in their business because they're close to me, I feel like it is more achievable. Like you kind of need to see something to like feel like it's achievable. And so one of the cool things in terms of education for people, because like I said, I want to retire as a teacher, and similar to you, like education, like if someone sees us go through it, especially going from like Chris not knowing anything about NFTs, you not knowing anything about NFTs, to actually building a successful NFT brand. And we kind of document most of it, including this conversation, like where we're just talking about how we're going to take it. I think that is very much more impactful because like what ends up happening is you see a lot of cool businesses that they're at like when they're at 100, and it's like it would have been really great to watch these things when they're at like 1 to 10. You know what I mean? And it's like everyone can kind of watch us as 1 to 10. And like this is why I really like Gary Vee. He's my favorite case study because like we all care about him owning the Jets more than he does at this point.
yeah.
Because like he's pointed out the goal. He's like, but he's got us all so much more invested in it because it's like we supported this man for so long. And it's like we could definitely build a brand similar to that, where it's like we are going on a journey to build a great NFT brand, and like everyone is just coming along with us, and they become invested in our story. That's kind of how I can see this easily going. And like we go into the meta details, including videos like this, where we're thinking about the strategy. I don't think enough people put out like all this strategic thinking. You just see the final product. You don't see how the sausage is made. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think that's something that's really cool that I don't see anyone doing. And it's like, one, it's like I need to learn how to do it myself. But then two, it'd be great to just have out there in the world, because then now we can inspire 1,000 people to go from what the fuck is an NFT to their own NFT brand themselves. Like that would be cool. That'd be something I'd feel very impactful about having and putting out in the world. But that's just one way we can approach this.
Yeah, that's so interesting because like when you said that, like the idea of like we're taking it from like the big, like we're literally going from we're creating content around like the very beginning stage, one, and usually you say that you see people at 100 before you even see like you don't even see 1 through 99, you just see the 100. And it's so funny because what I thought of was like no one becomes a celebrity overnight, right? But that's what we see. It's like, wow, this person, like what? How did this person just become famous out of nowhere for no reason? But in the back end, there's like they've done so much to get to that point.
Correct.
It's all undocumented. Like no one sees that stuff, right? So that's why everyone thinks, oh, this person just became a celebrity overnight. but that's not the case ever, right? So I like the fact that we're starting from this shitty podcast. It's very, I'm telling you,
We're doing awesome.
we're all in different places. We're like we're on Zoom, like, you know what I mean? Like going forward, like I want to be able to be in the same room with like high quality, like you know what I mean? Like video and stuff. Like that's where I see it going on from here. But like, I mean, granted, this isn't the best setup, but like this is the shit I love. You know what I mean? Like this is what I love seeing. It's like,
this is
okay,
real.
what can we turn this into?
Yeah, it's so exciting because there's so many possibilities to what this will turn into. And what you just said, Rob, like going from what the fuck is an NFT to an NFT expert, or having an NFT community, or like having this real physical thing that we can point and look at. It's possible. Anybody can do that.
This can really just become our journey to building a great NFT brand, or basically teaching. The easiest one is we need to say this is our journey to teaching us how to become NFT experts. And we don't even want to go further than that. That would still be valuable for the world. We can then take it further to say, hey, we're building a great NFT brand, which would be like the next level of that. And so like this can go as far as that. And like it'd just be cool for everyone to be like, okay, I want to try that. I really like what these guys do. They can always just go back and see how we did everything from start to finish. So
Agreed.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen anyone that has done something like that, from like taking it all the way? Except, I mean, I know Gary Vee is like one of the main people that has done it, but even when you see him now, it's kind of like almost like he already had everything kind of built out, right? Like,
I've been watching Gary Vee for a while, so
yeah,
I'm old school.
I know, even like I've seen him for a while too, but like even when I did start seeing him, like he still had everything kind of going. Like I was not able to see all the stuff from way before, right? So it's like, how do I know? Like, yeah, he's been creating content since 2008 or whatever it is, right? But like I've not been able to see that. And the fact that now content is so much more, like I would say, like kind of just pushed out to the point where now like anyone can see it at any given time. Back then it was like it wasn't that easy to just be like, oh, this dude Gary Vee, like I want to see his video. Like you couldn't see that. Now it's like you can just distribute it on all these different platforms, and now there's so much, like especially like I like talk about TikTok all the time because it's the most like authentic reach or organic reach that it has, because it's just pushing out content to like not your specific it just pushes out content to people would probably like to see it, right? Depending on like what audience you kind of cater to. Once we get into that NFT like realm, then we're obviously going to be targeting those people who are interested in that NFTs kind of space, right? And all these other like platforms, they don't really do that. Like YouTube and all that, they're not really pushing your content out. But TikTok is like, all right, if you're creating content, it's going to get pushed out. But we don't know where it's going to go yet. But once we kind of like set the stage, it'll definitely get to the audience that we want to get it to. So that's why I'm like a huge guy. I'm like, that's why we need to be able to repurpose everything that we do and create shorts and post them on TikTok. Yeah. So that's something that I've seen a lot of people do, a lot of brands and a lot of like companies, and it's been working. That's what I know. So
wow, there's a lot of different, like my mind is like kind of like spinning right now with ideas on where we could take this conversation. I just wanted to touch upon something you just said, which is like, you don't see, like, I just want to really cement this. Like, you don't see the come up for celebrities, businessmen and women, people who have achieved great things. You never see the come up. And I literally just saw this last night, so it's really present to me. I'm just going to share my screen. Is Alex Hormozi, who's the author of $100 Million Offers. He's like,
yes, I know this
space. I'm reading his biggest regret, poorly documenting his business journey during the early days.
Wow.
Biggest regret. So of course, but like, it's just so like, and I've heard Gary Vee say it, like, imagine if you saw these like Walt Disney, Oprah Winfrey, these big guys and girls who are like, killing it now. If you could see their come up, it'd be so much more inspirational. Or just extends that highlights their career.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's really cool. Kwabe said something about this too to me, Kwabe, our friend Rob. And he said that he's making content. He has a little vlog series that he does.
Oh, yeah,
and
that's true.
yeah, I like I have a little vlog series as well, but like not a lot of people watch it. And I was just like, why are you doing this? And he was basically saying he wants his grandchildren's grandchildren to see what it was like for him as a young man to like kind of like navigate life and figure it out and work on this stuff. So I thought that was really, really cool.
Dude, I love that whole idea of what it's like. I don't care who like outside of like my family who see this. Like I am doing this for my children, for my like grandchildren. That's what I forget who it was, but there was one creator who did this. It was like the reason why I vlog is so that I can like my children can know what I was like when I was younger. So then these stories that I tell them, they can actually see and experience what I was doing instead of being like, oh yeah, they're just stories, right? People forget these stories, but when you see it, it's like
They can step into it.
exactly.
Like relive these stories.
100%, exactly.
This is a present for our grandkids. That's actually how we should look at this.
Yeah. That's very interesting. I like that.
I like that a lot. Imagine if we
give it to all of them on their 18th birthday.
Yeah, wait, and you know what's funny? When you said that like people usually don't like document the early days. Now, like recently, I don't know if you guys seen the Kanye documentary. That was
that's exactly. I haven't seen it yet, but like I've seen the preview. That's exactly what it is.
That's exactly like the only difference is that he wasn't like showing it as it was going on, right? Like he just kind of had it like someone created and then he dropped it when he got to the top. And I was like why didn't he kind of like have all this kind of going on while he was getting there? I think that would have been way more impactful than it is like kind of now. But now it's like, but even then, just having the idea of like he still documented everything up until that point was insane to me. And I was like, this dude is literally a genius. Like that's like the title of his of his documentary, right?
Wow, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it's something that even I would say if you're not a Kanye fan, but you are a like, I don't know, a passionate like person about like business or something, like you want to pursue your endeavors, that is something that you should watch because it really like lights a fire up your ass. And like
the name of this episode is definitely now called Documenting Your Journey.
But it does. No, it lights a fire up your ass. And like, you're just like, wow, I need to create content around what I'm doing. Whether it's like, if you want to, whatever, even if it's like, oh, I want to get a job at the biggest tech company in the world. Like, what are you doing to get there? People want to see how you're getting there. And that's how they'll be able to also get there. You know what I mean? Just like stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Documenting your journey, your entire journey.
Document over create.
Yeah. Document, create. Yep. That's it, man. That's why I love content so much.
Yeah, you really do, man. And like you have that like knowledge for it, and then also like the technical knowledge about how the platforms work. So I'm curious to kind of like really like investigate, like understand what your thoughts and how we can get this, because through content, like that's the only way that this will ever be seen by anybody.
Yeah.
Content and distributing that content and getting people to see it. So that's what you're all about and what you focus like your career on. So I'm really curious to hear your ideas or thoughts about how to if this is something that we want to do, we're passionate about it, we want to do it for our grandchildren's grandchildren and impact society and like the world with this. How can we create content and deliver that content in such a way that people see it?
Yeah. So first off, okay, like everything that we're doing right now, like all this, like the podcast, like this right here, we can, it's very simple. All you have to do is find like the interesting parts and like the very like, I guess, like conversations that we have here that is like, that has value to it, like something that's like shows your passion, that shows like, because that's what people love. People love when other people are passionate about something, you know what I mean? Because that's when their true form comes out, right? And people get more invested into that truer form than like, say, if I'm just sitting doing like just making jokes, like, you know, like if I'm not passionate about comedy, right, like no one's gonna watch my comedic skits, right? So that's why it's like whatever we have, like that kind of like shows the passion behind like why we want to build this out, and then post those clips onto like TikTok or like YouTube Shorts. That's something that will kind of, I guess, resonate with these people that also want to do something like this, right? And then not only that, it's like, how do we even just like create quality content, in short form quality content that is just educating them as well? So it's like, it doesn't have to be strictly off the podcast. Like, what are we doing outside the podcast to show, okay, like, hey, like, even if it's like you spend half hour, just be like, Rob, you have a lot of information about NFTs. Like, hey, what's the next popping NFT that you heard, or why is it like, why are you skeptical about this next NFT? Give your thoughts, and then be like, and then just make it into a consumable content, right? In like the long form, whatever, like TikTok format, and just post that and share that. Post it on TikTok, post that same video on YouTube Shorts, post that same video on Instagram. Even now, what Instagram is doing is that they're also pushing out reels. They're pushing out reels. And that's not something
Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikTok Shorts.
And that's not something that they've used to do before. They used to only show your content to your audience, right? The people who are following you was usually the people that would see your content. But now you post something, it's going to the explore page. Everyone's gonna see it. Someone's gonna see it, right? So everything's being pushed out, and that's all we have to do is just make short form consumable content through the long podcast that we have, right? And like this podcast alone, we could probably have maybe 10 to 12 amazing clips, right? And we could use that and then just like post that on these different platforms, and that's how we kind of create that audience.
It's a very cyclical process. It really like feeds and like a vicious circle, only like in the best way. Because when we were talking about it, so like the Gary V model, kind of to put a structure onto this, the Gary V content distribution model is to create one long form piece of content and create 10 to 20 to 30 meaningful pieces of content, an article, a blog article, you know, short videos, short snippets, a tweet, an Instagram post, a LinkedIn blog, like just to take that long form piece of content and dissect it into multiple variations and creative clips that are natively distributed to each platform. And then, but you're not going to educate anybody through a 1 second or a 10-second TikTok clip. You're not gonna I shouldn't say educate. You're not gonna teach them anything like revolutionary, or you're not gonna like get to the nitty gritty of like informing them too much about the content. It's really just about getting their attention, getting their interest, and then directing them to more of the long form piece of the content so that they can really get entrenched and like deeper into the content, so that they can like learn from that more. I think that's what we were talking about before, Aman, which is using TikTok shorts, using these short form posts to kind of get the attention and the interest first, and then having people circle back into more. I mean,
that's the whole goal with any kind of content that you create, is to get them to a specific place, right?
Right.
You're just not going to want them just to like watch the content and then boom, okay, that's it. Now they're literally just waiting for the next piece of content. No, you want them to be able to engage with you. You want to direct them somewhere that they can be known as this person who watched my content is now part of my community, right? That's kind of the goal that you want to set. Not be like, oh no, I'm just trying to get people to watch my stuff. Okay, no, that shouldn't be the goal. It should be, I want people to watch my stuff and then kind of engage with me, right? And the only way to do that is if you engage back.
Right. Yeah, that really clicked for me when you were talking about your TikToks and how like when people watch your TikToks, like there's a subsect of that of your followers that will go to your Instagram from
Yeah.
your TikTok. So
Yeah.
and then you were saying that when they follow you on Instagram, they're a lot more like engaged. It's a
Yeah.
lot more personal connection. You can talk with them one-on-one.
Yeah.
So it's like the top of the funnel, people viewing this content, and then getting them to a place where they can actually interact and like become.
So that's the goal. So like what you do is like you can create I guess like I wouldn't say it's like a full community, like full on community. Like I feel like a community is way more engaging and stuff. But like, yeah, so say you have like you gain followers on one specific platform, right? The people, like if you have the goal, be like, okay, I want to make like content on YouTube. I want to be monetized on YouTube. I want that to be my job. I want that to, well, yeah, like your job, that like, because what you'd love to do, right? That's where you want your revenue source to come from, right? You're not gonna direct people to like Twitter and stuff like that, whatever, right?
Right.
What you want is you want those people from Twitter, from TikTok, to go to your YouTube, right? And the people that go to your YouTube, right? Or those are people who are way more likely to be like monetizable, right? Than the people who are just following you on TikTok or Instagram and stuff like that. Like you said, yeah, the people who followed me on TikTok, I would be like, I have a thing where it says like follow me on Instagram, right? Because like once they follow me on Instagram, I know that those group of people that come and follow me on Instagram are going to be way more engaging and more interested in me and the content that I have to create than the people on my TikTok. Because they did one more step than the people on my TikTok. Does that make sense?
You said something super interesting before when we were talking about the same thing. You said, I'm gonna butcher the quote, but you said people come for the content and stay for the person.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. So they come for, so that's why I said like a lot of people have in the beginning is like, how do you even create like the community? It's like first you have to find something that people are interested in, right? Like you can't just go out there and just be like introduce, like kind of create content on yourself first, because nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about who you are. Like why the fuck do I care about Christian Shaw? I care about Christian Shaw because I know who he is. I know the work that he does. That's why I'm investing in Christian Shaw, right? No one else cares. No one else knows, but I do. And how do people know of this person? Is through the content that they create about the passion that they have or the niche that they're in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably one of my favorite things that I like to say too, and I've heard it so many times from other creators and stuff like that. So yeah, that's one way to go about it. For sure. Yeah. What thoughts?
No, I would agree with you. One of the things I talk about all the time, my girlfriend and I were talking about this just the other day, where it's like you have to be flexible in your definition of what media is, because media is anything you do, say, or create. Yeah. And so what you said is so true. Like everything I know about Chris is through my media interactions with him. So the conversations we have, so audio content, and his actions. So like recall of those audio, like it's basically like what he's done is how I build his reputation in my mind, which is what then makes me do whatever I do with him. You know what I mean? So whether that's trusting him as a friend, trusting him as a salesperson, trusting him as a creator, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So you're always making content. You just have, one cannot not communicate. So you're always communicating to the world, and people are forming their perceptions and deciding what they would trust you with based off of how you've communicated with the world. Digital is just a subset of that communication, but you're always communicating.
Yeah, exactly.
And all your relationships are based off of people's past communications. And so it's no different for your customers, your audience, your fans. They're going to build that relationship with you based off of your past communications.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like a term for it, which is also like a very it's kind of scary at the same time. It's called parasocial relationship, right? Where the people watching you kind of know who you are, what you do, and who you like, just overall know who you are, but you don't kind of know really who they are, right?
Like we know Gary V, but he doesn't know us at all.
exactly, right? So that's kind of like it could be like a weird situation. There's like a gray area there because like sometimes what people would just be like, yo, that's my boy Chris, like I know him, but like you're like, who the fuck is this guy? You know what I mean? So there's like a little gray area in there, but that's essentially what you want to create for people to be invested in you and the stuff that you're doing. Right?
Got it. Parasocial relationship. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're right about at the halftime for this podcast. I like to kind of keep these short, like 45 to an hour long. Just be mindful of, you know, everybody's time and everything. So where I really want to go with this episode is just form a, well, first, like meet each other, connect us, you know, all together, kind of hash out any of the questions that we have about working on this passion project, what that means for us, what we want to get out of it as individuals, and what the community, you know, what we want to bring for, you know, the community that we're building as well. So did you guys have any questions about like what, like, yeah, did you have any, like, Aman, you were talking, Rob, we had similar questions about what we want to do with this and what we want to kind of like create. So I'm curious, just putting that out there. Any questions that you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a question. It's just like I'm more of like, let's do it. Let's just see where we can take this. Let's just see how we can go about this, and just kind of do it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. One of your questions, Aman, was how do you monetize? How do you
Yeah,
monetize?
I did ask that before. Yes, exactly. Because I remember I asked, it was like, if your goal is to at the end just monetize off of crew, like being like, oh, you have this community and then you want to create an NFT for this community. I feel like that's like very like, how is it that people will like, I asked Chris, I was like, why would these people want to buy that NFT? What's the value that you're giving with this NFT? And I think it was some that you mentioned something about a utility UFC, which I have, like, I've never heard of, like yeah, I've never heard of these like terms before, so I'm not sure what that means.
I think it's a good question though. It's a good question. And really the main question still is like, how do you monetize a community or a brand or
Yeah,
something like this? And then also what's the goal? What's the goal? And then what value would we bring to a community so that people would want to actually, like, in order to monetize something, you have to like give value, like push out value. So like that's the only way to like make money off of it. So I think those are really interesting questions, and I have my perspectives on them, and you know how I would go about it. But I'm curious, Rob, about what you think, because I've been talking to you guys kind of like individually, but I think it'd be cool to kind of like all conversate together about it.
just a quick caveat on that actually. Like I've heard there's three things that you can monetize. I forget what the third. There's entertainment, there's education, and then I forget what the third one is. But I know that right now we would be doing the education part, right?
Yeah.
So that's actually.
Would it be a mix of the two? Infotainment?
Yeah, infotainment as well.
Is that it?
That's what I've heard.
Okay. I believe, yeah, because I remember there was like three of them, and I remember education and entertainment was two of them. But yeah, so that's yeah. So educate, it makes sense because what we're doing is literally educating people on NFTs, or more like Rob is educating people on NFTs.
Right, well, guys, I'm not the only educator. So first of all, my goal is really to get both of you to the place where you are the educators. I don't consider myself an NFT expert in any way, shape, or form. I know deeply about the Web3 tech, and NFTs are a small subset of Web3 technology. And so over time, we can even bring on more people who are like specialized in that area. But
so why don't we talk more about Web3 then? Right? Web3 tech. Like, why not inform people about Web3 tech? Why are we specifically choosing NFTs? Why not just cover a huge array of things and we can just kind of like tackle whatever?
Good question. So the man who chases two rabbits catches neither. That's basically why. And because this is an all-encompassing world of NFTs, crypto, blockchain, DeFi, this, that, Mark Zuckerberg, like there's a lot going on. And what I see just from my limited viewing of this environment is that people are vastly interested in the NFT component of it because it's there's so much going on in just this one subsect. So I feel like if we attach ourselves to one area, what the fuck is an NFT? That seems like a trending thing. Like people know what crypto is, people will know what cryptocurrency, Bitcoin is, kind of. So if we attach ourselves to NFT, that community, we can start to build on that and have a broader conversation about this technology, because we don't just talk about NFTs, but we kind of use it as a starting point.
It's our anchor.
It's our anchor.
It's our anchor. Got it.
Yeah. So what was I saying? Yeah. In general, yeah. Like Web3 is basically saying like, I want to talk about the internet. That's a big topic.
Okay. That's please. I'm not educated on this, so
No, it's fine.
it.
NFTs are
Makes
basically the media side of the internet.
Okay.
That's all it is. Just like it's that's the easiest way to describe it. Just like you have the finance side of the internet, there's the media side of the internet. And NFTs is just that. So back to your old question of like, how do you monetize it? And so one of the biggest things you have to learn with just Web3 tech in general is that it changes all of the assumptions at a fundamental level. And it creates business models that weren't existent, and then basically destroys business models that currently exist. Everything kind of gets flipped. So I think you have to go very first principles thinking about how do you monetize with Web3, because if not, you're going to get trapped in what you think is the way to go about it. So one easy way is you have to start thinking about the fact that with NFTs, the communities can own the brand. And so now your business model is now changing. Like, how do you think about your business model when your users are your owners? That changes it. That gives you don't have to, your advertising strategy becomes a lot different. You know what I mean? So that is like an easy way to think about it. Next is what Chris talked about, is like utility NFTs.
Yeah.
NFTs don't.
When you say your community owns the brand, like what do you exactly mean by that? Like, I'm not sure what.
Oh yeah, so a simple tactic way to do that is like, let's say I make an NFT about WTF is an NFT. I make a collection of 10,000. I don't know. Yeah. And what I say is anyone who owns this NFT, what's going to happen is every time we make profits, we are going to give that back to whoever's owning this NFT at that moment.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's like a simple tactic level way. So now you can also then go from there and say, hey, we're also going to make CCO, so Creative Commons 0 or something like that. But like, we're going to make it so that anyone who owns this NFT has the rights to make content around this thing. So now we've expanded our content marketing arm of it to our community as well. So like the way you think about this has to change at a fundamental level. You're like, because you have these new tools and technologies, what you can do and how you can combine things, you have new opportunities. In addition to that, NFTs, and this is something we talked about, maybe 2 episodes ago, they come with all of the Web3 stuff built in. So from the very beginning, you can now have financial markets for whatever you make. So like, even if you made your NFT as like a simple subscription, let's say we don't want to just make something that's forever. We say, hey, this is a 1-year subscription to what WTF is an NFT. But because it's an NFT, someone can trade it 3 months in. Unlike my Netflix subscription, like I'm stuck with it, you know what I mean? Or I just stop paying. This one, you could say, hey, you have 30 days money back guarantee. After that, you can just go trade it on the open market. So like the way you can think about the business is fundamentally changing because there's new primitives. So I would say that's kind of what you have to realize. You have to understand what are the fundamental primitives, and then you get to creatively combine it yourself as the person in charge of the brand.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Aman?
Yeah.
We're like catching you up at like light speed.
That's a lot of information. So right now I'm just trying to process it. So if I do have any more questions, I would probably have to ask like maybe like off camera and stuff, just because like.
No, you gotta ask on camera. We want to.
I know, but it's like I don't have the questions now. I'm just trying to like process it, because that was a lot of fucking information for me, especially for someone who has very, very little knowledge of, I guess, like even just like the vocabulary.
No, it's okay. You're episode 1 Chris right now. That's all it is.
Okay.
Dude, I was just thinking that you're episode 1 Chris. Like I have this, I'm episode 4, 5 in, so I have this layer of knowledge, and I can see like what you're thinking. Like, oh, this doesn't make sense. How, like,
So I'm just like, there's so much coming at me that I was just like, wait,
But this is so cool from my perspective, because 5 weeks ago I was the same level
Same
of
way, okay.
intelligence as you when it comes to
Yeah,
this.
yeah. So there's like a few things, like when you say like people like people who own like this, I'm just trying to make it so that it's kind of like trying to make a connection to it so it makes more sense to me. What I've seen is like Bored Ape Yacht Club, like what I've seen people do is like people use like that NFT that they own from Bored Ape, right? And now they've created like that's their avatar. Everywhere you go, they use it as their avatar on like their Instagram thing. And like now they like, I've seen this, there's this one girl who like every picture that she takes, instead of her face, she will crop out her face and put the ape on her face. And that's the content that she uses. But people love that because they find it so funny and like interesting. And now it's like instead of her going around doing random stuff in New York City, it's the ape that's doing it because now it's her face. And she also has, I guess, Bored Ape friend, like people in that community, friends. And then when they're hanging out together, instead of putting their faces in, they'll put the ape's face on all the other people too, right? So is that kind of what you mean? Like they start creating content around it, and that's because like to me that is like they are creating content on it. Like they're basically essentially marketing Bored Ape Yacht Club indirectly, even though they're like market them their own one specific Bored Ape.
Right, that would be like a level 1 where someone can do that. But someone, because I own the rights to this, I can go make a whole TV show. Let's say someone who actually have good creative chops buys one of my NFT, they can go make a whole brand out of that single Bored Ape. I mean, like I can go make a whole story out of that.
So like they can literally
that's
make
basically like think about like Ash Ketchum and Pikachu. Like there's a whole story about one Pokemon. Like we all care about Pikachu, even though there's like 150 other ones. So someone could just go make something about Pikachu.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
So there could be like this, there could be a spin-off like series.
Gary Vee buys one of your NFTs and he just makes a brand out of it.
Yeah,
that could be it.
Like basically, like you're saying, like Pokemon, like Ash and Pikachu. Someone could go make a spin-off of just Pikachu, like a TV show, just Pikachu, not
Correct.
like Ash and just Pikachu. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, no, because if you think about the primitives of Pokemon, it's like there's 100. Well, very first one, because now there's ungodly amounts of Pokemon. But like initially, there's only 100 Pokemon, 50 Pokemon, and they live in this world, and people battle and train them. Why do we have to have a story about this specific Pokemon and this specific character? We could have had like 10 parallel other people with their specific Pokemon and their specific characters and build stories around that. You know what I'm saying? And you could have 10,000s of that. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just storytelling.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay,
that
makes more sense because I actually I love Pokemon, so that actually made a little more sense to me.
You should check out Axie Infinity. It's
what is it?
It's a video game where you can make money for playing video games.
What is it called?
It's NFT.
Axie Infinity. Yeah, it's NFT video game.
Okay.
You play the video game, you make money every time you play.
I can catch that.
I'll message it in here.
Okay.
But like
Axiom Infinity.
Axie and then the word infinity.
Okay. Gotcha.
So bringing this back to the initial conversation, which was how do you monetize something like that?
Yes. So I mean, right now, this is why I keep saying like
to the point. You're a Bored Ape.
Yes. So right now, traditional way that everyone does their monetizing as audiences, they do what's called an audience aggregation business. Like there's a really good book called The Personal MBA, and they talk about like different types of business models and things like that. But it's audience aggregation. So I get a bunch of like the core thing of marketing is basically getting attention and then creating desire once you have that attention. And for a lot of people, it's hard to actually get the attention. So they just go to someone who already has attention. So you, the creative, you, the influencer. And then I try to sell to people and create desire with attention that's already there. What I'm doing with my content is I'm actually attracting attention. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to make content in order to attract attention. And then either I will create desire or someone else will create desire. And then from there, I can hand that off to sales, whose job is to convert that desire into actual profits.
Yes.
But basically, what ends up happening is you have those fundamental principles like, hey, I have to attract attention to my content. But now you have to think about like this audience aggregation business is changing because who is the audience is being blurred and who is the business is being blurred. The lines are blurring where the business can also be the audience. And so there's going to be a lot of first principles that you have to rethink. And like I said, this also becomes more complicated because you have all this Web3 stuff that you get for free that you can now add into whatever your business is.
Okay. So like when you say like all this Web3 stuff, like what is that? Is that just like?
So let's see. I guess
Can I
Web3. Yeah, go for it. Actually, it's
Okay,
perfect. See if
because
you learned anything.
I just learned this, so I'm going to try to regurgitate the information I just learned. So basically, when you start this business, you automatically, inherently, for free, get financial, like a finance structure, so that I can buy and sell, trade back and forth for free. I don't need PayPal. I don't need Stripe or a credit card processing tool. We inherently get finance, like it's just there in the blockchain. And we also get social communication.
Yeah, social is so right now the current stage of Web3 is we are figuring out social. So we're figuring out how to chat, we're figuring out identity and reputation. Those are the things that are being figured out. The parts that have been figured out is the financial infrastructure. That's done. The part that's been figured out is like the tech infrastructure. So it's like you can make an account. So actually, I made this side project if you guys want to check it out that I'm like slowly working on.
Yeah, sure.
It doesn't work right now, so but you can kind of get the idea if you want to share your screen, Chris.
You can
if
share
you
your
go
screen.
to yeah, let me share my screen.
Awesome.
I'll probably be actually releasing it for real in a
While he's doing that, Aman, does that make sense? Like does that kind of make
sense? So you're basically saying like the infrastructure is like, yeah, okay, I get
available and free.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like you don't have to go out and like buy that, like, yeah, I know what you mean. No one has to make it for you. It's there. Yeah.
Correct. So like if you guys can see my screen, this is like a perfect example. Like I made this small app where you could just search any address, any blockchain address. So right now there's like 77 million Ethereum address, 100 million with all the other blockchains, including Bitcoin. So there's 100 million people with crypto addresses. And all those people, for them, you can get their profile name, so that like the ENS address, their address, whatever, like all this information, I'm just scraping off the blockchain, how long they've been on there. You can direct them to chat groups from there. Like I didn't even build this chat, it's already there for me for free. You can find out all their finance information. So like, this is like my wallet history. Like, and all these, as a marketer, you can make better and more informed decisions. Let's say if you want to say how many users have more than $10,000 in their address. Like imagine running your business where you know how much money every person that comes to your website has. Like that's useful information. You know what I mean? That's really useful information. What's even better is like knowing what those people have spent on. You can, for me and everyone else, you can see what I bought. You know what I mean? You know what I'm interested in buying. You can see what NFTs I explore. Like, what do I like doing on the blockchain? You get all that information for free. Like, and people just have to build applications that help you view and visualize that, or you can just do it on your own if you have the tech skills. You know what I mean? And so that is what I'm trying to say. You're going to get the finance stuff all for free. The social stuff is being developed right now, but you're going to get that for free. If you come in a year or two from now, you get all that. So, but you're starting right now, so you have to like piece together those parts. But like in a year or two, it's all going to be there. You know what I mean?
But what's stopping people from like kind of pointing the finger and being like, yo, this is like kind of like, I don't know, like
invasive.
This is invasive and fucking evil as shit. Cause like, you know,
so
like,
there's two things with blockchains that you have to think about. One is anything you put on the blockchain, you as a person have to accept that it's going to exist forever. So you shouldn't do anything that you don't want forever on the blockchain. The second thing is this cool piece of technology in blockchain called zero knowledge proofs. And so zero knowledge proof is this fancy math where you can basically verify a piece of information is true without revealing anything about the information. So I can know that you are over 18 without you having to give me your license.
Oh.
I can know that you're a US citizen without you having given me your social security number. Because all it is this math game. Like you do this, you ask for the piece of information, you encrypt it in this like fancy math game, and then you get a true or false response at the end. And so that is how we solve the privacy layer, but that is also like 2 years out. You know what I mean? But like that's coming. And so like all we do at the end of this, like you just zero knowledge proof anything that you want to be private. And now everything can still be verified, everything you can still know, but you don't have to actually reveal any of that information. Right now we're still in the public phase. Like when the internet first came out, Web 2, it was HTTP. So you couldn't even do finance. So actually, this is Web 1. And then HTTPS came out, and now banks decided to come online because you actually send information publicly.
Securely.
You know what I mean? Yeah, securely, because it's encrypted, so you can actually send it on a public network, the internet.
Wow.
So we're just in the unencrypted phase of Web 3. That's
We're
all
in
it
the
is.
HTTP
Yes.
stage.
There's not that little lock little thing that's green at the top of your thing. It's unencrypted. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like when you go to a website and it doesn't have the like little S and it yells at you that it's unencrypted.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So those would be kind of what you want to start thinking about. Like finance layer is done. Social layer is basically this in the next couple of years. I guess privacy layer, that's probably going to take a little bit later, but like there are multiple projects, multiple teams working at different parts on all these different things. So like you can start to see what's going to come. And what you want to do is be building your brand and your business now for the world that's going to arrive. You kind of like, you get on the boat and you know where it's going to go. And you're just like one of those people, oh, like the way we all look at Gary Vee, like how did this guy know about NFTs last year? No, he saw this stuff was coming and he just made sure he was on the boat before it happened. You know what I mean? And like, that's what you'd be doing. Like, you know, all this stuff is happening. Like I just walked you through like, and I took literally a day to make that version of the website you just saw. And like people are going to have teams that are building way more robust things. So it's like, these things are all coming, and like the social platforms that we're going to have are just going to be all more interconnected. They're going to have their own financial layer. You don't have to like connect PayPal this, and like all these things are just going to be easily connected, and people are going to be able to spin up their own social media platforms in like a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow. That's very interesting.
It's intense, right?
That's so like, I don't
the
even
world
know
we're going
ready
to.
for that.
I mean, this stuff is going to take 10 years, so we have time, but
very
The
interesting.
best time to plant the seeds.
yeah, exactly.
For
We
sure.
can make mistakes right now. If we mess up, we have time. Like we can not know what we're doing for like a whole year and still be fine.
That's
So-
awesome. I love that. I love the fact that we can mess up so many times and still be able to figure it out.
Aman, you were talking about having total creative freedom in your content creation and creating content. You said that like right now at your job, like you don't have total creative freedom. You have to kind of like work within their corporate structure and guidelines and the compliance and all this stuff. Like you can't be super creative, but like with this, you can.
Yeah.
So that actually jumps into another part of Web3. this is where I said this thing. It's like there's a whole rabbit hole. This is also why Chris said we have to focus on NFTs. But what is interesting is called DAOs. So they're called decentralized autonomous organizations. So basically, people are forming entire organizations around on-chain assets. So like I can release an NFT community, or I can release a blockchain like token, like something like Dogecoin, but like I guess something maybe more useful. And then people are basically running an organization where anyone can join in as long as you have the token. So there's no like application. You just buy the token and now you're in. You know what I mean? There's one I'm in that's called Developer DAO. They just released an NFT and now we're all in there and we're just coding and building stuff together. And we're throwing conferences and like, it's literally like a whole organization or business.
Wow. And
So-
it's run through people who just have that token.
Yeah, that's it. The only way, it's
So this is a
basically
good
that.
place to come back to because
Is there a limited amount of tokens?
Yeah, but I think Chris is right. This is something to come back in for. Like, this is a whole nother topic. Like,
Yeah,
this is just to
I
tease
guess
your
we got-
brain.
Yeah,
to
I guess
just
we'll-
understand where things are going. But like, you'd have the ability. Let's say there'd be like a DAO basically around people who want to just do creative work. There's also guilds, which is just people who team up to do work together, as like labor groups almost. But other episode, different time. We'll get into them.
holy shit, Rob, your brain must just be like
Yeah. Oh my
exploding.
god.
Now I'm actually more relaxed right now. I'm not paying as much attention because now I'm in implementing phase. Like I'm trying to build stuff.
Mm.
That's awesome. Yeah. You're in your training arc.
And yes, exactly. Talking about that, I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah. So actually to get back into NFTs outside like what we were talking about. My one biggest question that comes from like NFTs is like, what is stopping people from just like creating like this community? And like I've seen it happen so many times. Like we talked about this like thing where it's like even like Lana Rhoades, right, the famous porn star, she had this whole community of people and was creating an NFT, and then she just cashed out and then abandoned the project. right?
Yeah.
So how are we like how do we like kind of have that control where it's like that, like people will have that faith in us, like we won't abandon it, and like
No. I got the answer to that.
that is so risky, because people can just like invest in you and then they're just like lost all that money because like
This is a simple one. This is just basic blockchain stuff what you're asking right now. So there's a core principle in blockchain that we call don't trust, verify. And we covered this in earlier episodes when I explained to Chris like what a blockchain is using like a Excel spreadsheet. But like the entire purpose of a blockchain network is you needed a way to track assets in a trustless way where everyone can verify that something is true without having to rely on a single entity to prove that it's true. So like that is at the core of what a blockchain network is doing. It's automating trust. You basically are trusting math and cryptography instead of saying, hey, Facebook is going to do X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So there's no trust. The only trust assumptions is like that the cryptography isn't broken. You know what I mean? So, and maybe when quantum computers come around, then we have to worry about that. But for now, as long as the cryptography isn't broken, it can be trusted, essentially. So with what you're saying is the way you do what you're asking is, and there's lots of projects where you can, with blockchain stuff, if the money's on chain, the audience know what happens with the money. I will know if someone spends that money on something I don't want. You can then take it a step further and you can have controls for how the money gets spent. You can take it even a first step further, which is you can make every member of your audience a multi-stakeholder, which is like they have to sign off on any transaction.
Wow. Okay.
So you can take, because of the fundamentals of the tech. Yeah, it's fully transparent, and everything, you can set the amount of permissions you want to give. So right now people aren't doing that because that's a lot of work, and like you have to probably hire devs that know what they're doing to do that. But like you can do that. You can basically make sure that everything is guaranteed. And so you don't have to trust, you can just verify. And that's why in blockchain, we always say, don't trust, verify.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah. So actually it's so funny because like one thing that I heard in a podcast recently with like Gary Vee, I think he was on the podcast with Andrew Schultz, funny dude. But he was like, he bets on the person, right? He doesn't bet on like the project itself. He bets on the person, because the project could tank and like, but as long as the person has that full like that sensibility of like what the capability of what they can do, then they're like, he knows that it doesn't matter what happens, this person's going to make it happen, right? Mm-hmm. So how do we verify that we are those people to make this shit happen? You know what I mean?
I mean, there's lots of ways around it. I mean, so you're asking how do we get people to believe that we are producing value out of thin air, essentially?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the best way is not trusting and verifying. We produce value out of thin air. People see us do that, and now they trust us.
Okay.
And so, like, even think about this. Like, how much more do you, like, because of the content I just produced, like my words to you, you believe I know more about blockchain now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you would trust me more for like information or like advice. Like you'd probably hire me to consult on NFT projects now.
Yeah, I'd probably hire you over Chris.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm trying to say. Well, Chris is going to be an expert, so don't worry. Plus, he has the sales skills, and that is also really important. Yeah. But like, what's it called? Like that is how we build the trust. The content we put out creates the trust. Like just like what I just did for you in the last 20 minutes, we do that consistently over time. And every time someone comes into our content, they see what we're doing. Over time, they begin to trust us. Yeah. And that's it. And then the second part is like, as we start getting to like the asking for money phase, we have transparency and we have math-based guarantees. We can say, hey, you give us this money and we can't even withdraw it for 5 years. You can lock that into a smart contract. Anyone can go audit it. Like it is just better models. Like there's less trust between audience and creator. And like, you can have more transparency between audience creator. And like, once again, the lines become blurred where audience can become creator as well.
Wow. Okay. No, I definitely understand it now. That's awesome. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's literally just like the community is really guiding where everything goes.
Whatever percentage you want to. So every project's going to be different. So like you can make a project where the community does nothing. You can make it where they do everything. Like there are projects that are just 100% community online, and it's just like you figure out where to go. That becomes the bigger problems that DAOs are facing. Is like how do we coordinate when it's totally decentralized?
Yeah.
Because the reason Bitcoin works is they had to come up with like fancy like incentive mechanisms. So like if you go fully decentralized, you have to think about setting up incentives from day one that everyone does what they're supposed to do. If you go fully uncentralized, then you have to make sure that the owners and creators actually do the right thing. And like the sweet spot's going to be somewhere in the middle where some portion is decentralized versus centralized.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's like what I was thinking. Like in my mind, I was just like, when you were saying this, like you like make it like 50-50, right? Like if your community overturns what you want to do, then you can't do that, right? Kind of thing.
I mean, but then maybe they can, because let's say you make a 10,000 NFT project, you can spin off and the community could go do something else with it. The community doesn't need it. Like this, you basically, so multiple things are happening here. So in order to capture more value, you have to give up more control. And like, I have this mental model, I call it the slinky of progress, because there's this thing called a helix.
Progress?
Slinky of progress. So it's actually a helix, which is like this spiral that goes around, but no one knows what a helix is, so I call it a slinky. Everyone knows what a slinky is.
Yeah.
And it's basically, what's it called? In order to make progress, like in the mental model I say is whenever new technology comes out, what ends up happening is that the technology gives more powers to the users and it disrupts the institutions, and thus it creates new institutions that have to be X percentage more aligned with the users. If you look at two examples, so something like birth control, that gave more powers to the individuals in a family. So the new family units were people who X percentage wanted to be more in the relationship. It wasn't people who were just stuck there because they got pregnant. You know what I mean? So the amount of the relationship changed. Same thing for media. Facebook made media where instead of us basically just consuming from what a few group of people on like a board thought, we were the ones creating the content. So Facebook by that nature has to be X percentage more aligned with what we want. You know what I mean? And so like, those are two examples. And it's the same thing where because of what's happening with blockchain technology, all the brands are going to have to accept that the users have more control in their brand.
Okay.
So something like Bored Ape Yacht Club, like the users have way more control than any brand has ever experienced. And they're having to learn how to figure that out with both good and bad. So the good is that there's a business model disruption. Like because they give more value to the users, other brands can't compete on that. Like, what is every other brand going to do? Say, hey, I'm going to start paying you every time you like use my, like, they can't do that. It's like the decentralized Facebook is going to outcompete the centralized Facebook because like Facebook would have to pay you every time you post something. You know what I mean? It just becomes hard. Like, so you basically, you give up more value in the short term, but like, and you have to do more work in terms of coordination. You have to give users more power, but in the long term, you have this clear runway where traditional giants can't touch you because they have to go to their board and say, hey, we're just going to cut our profits by 80%. Yeah, can't do that shit. I mean, Zuckerberg, I think is actually smart. He's trying as hard as he can. Like, this is why I think all software businesses are about to experience massive form of disruptions. Like, there's another thing in like music NFTs where people are making like, you can release a music NFT and you can make like $1,000, whereas you need 1 million plays from Spotify just to do that.
Yeah, I saw a thing where I think it was like 40 lanes or something. He sold an NFT for like $1 or something, and he sold 1 million of them. And it was like a track, and he made $1 million off of one track.
To get that on Spotify,
yeah, it's 1 million unique listens. Yeah.
So, and like that's what I'm saying. Like a platform like Spotify is actually in deep shit because they're gonna have to think about how do they start giving more value to their artists. Because as these NFT platforms actually mature and come together, they're going to say, hey, you get to keep more of the profits. And not only you, your audience also now gets to keep some profit because you have NFT platforms, music platforms where they say, hey, if you buy this NFT, you get a percentage of every royalty in the future. So now artists are fucking with their early fans and giving them value for being an early fan. Like this whole, like there's a huge business model disruption coming for a lot of software enabled businesses that it's going to be a lot of carnage. Because how the fuck are you going to compete with these Web3 companies? You know what I mean? So, but this is all later. Like we are going to build up to it. So,
no, definitely. My brain is getting a little fried right now. So I definitely, I think I've gained a lot of information today. So I just need to kind of think about what I've heard.
Yeah,
today.
man. It's you're learning calculus right now. And
No, it's like me learning calculus and I don't even know algebra yet.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. So yeah, man, honestly, that's why this weekly show is so good, because it forms and builds upon all the shit that I'm hearing right now. I can understand it at a level
because of the
I have this
previous 4
foundation.
episodes.
Because I have the previous 4 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I would like to bring to the community. That's what I believe this technology is going to be impactful. Like, I believe that the stuff that you're saying, Rob, this Web3 technology is going to disrupt all these businesses. There's going to be a massive shift of wealth from these old world businesses into this new world businesses using Web3 technology. And I feel like, a sense of duty to kind of like serve and help people understand, so that they can make decisions for themselves. They don't have to get fucked over by like Lana Rhodes or like any of these people. I think that that is the biggest value add that we can serve at our current form. And then wherever that takes us, creating an NFT of our own, creating a community that has like brand, products,
we'll figure it out as we go.
Resources, whatever. Yeah. But I think that the biggest value add is just educating and sharing the knowledge. And
Yeah. So I love that. And even like, I'm just like going off the top of my head, like an idea we could do is like you said, because I feel like you had so much information of like how like the board yacht structure works kind of. Why not have like just a video of just like breaking down that structure? I'm sure there's people that out there that have done it, but like if we're just pushing it out there on like TikTok or something, or making that specific content, I feel like that would help, because we're educating people.
Bro,
we're working up to that right now. Because right now, one of the things I'm doing on the side is having Chris go through case studies. So like NFT business case studies. He has homework. So much homework. I'm having him go through. And actually, I guess you're probably gonna have to learn some of this homework too. But like as he builds up to that, we're gonna, because like right now, like the first 4 episodes are just like explaining blockchain. Like we're like slowly getting up to there. Like this is why, like as I say some of this stuff now, Chris is like, oh, this is why I chose to go this way. Like by giving Chris a foundational knowledge first, as we expand into like these more complicated stuff, it's easy for him to get to there. Like, and like that's kind of what we hope for the rest of the audience as well. So it's like we slowly go foundational step by foundational step, and then like we can get to the more complicated stuff as we go.
And for my opinion, it's because you can make $1 million investing into an NFT, but you can just as easily lose $1 million or even more investing in that same NFT. It's like 50-50. It's literally like a flip of a coin. And instead of just blindly investing and blindly just learning about like this, just like investing into Lana Rhodes or whatever, like to have the core foundational principles of investing in finance is going to set you up for success. So yeah, that's why I'm like so interested to learn about this stuff, but we haven't even really touched upon
we're just giving him foundational knowledge at this point.
I feel like there's so much for me to learn and understand.
Like, go watch the first 4 episodes.
I'm gonna have to sit back and watch the first 4 episodes.
You'll come out much more educated.
I'm gonna see the same reaction that Chris had.
Yeah, man. All right, guys. Well, I think that will conclude it for today. So, all right, let's conclude the episode for today. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Tune in next time to see the next episode of What the Fuck is an NFT.
Thank you.
Far enough along, you're starting to see how like that he is recording it now, but you're starting to see like some like this is tactical level strategy that like would be useful for me if I was building my own brand. You know what I mean? So like I think we have to keep in mind there's like meta stories happening. There's like the one thing of like educating Chris, so that's like one meta thing. Then there's the other one of like educating people based on where Chris is, and then another one of like building a brand.
Exactly. So like you're basically educating. You're not just educating Chris. You're educating everybody to the point at what Chris knows, right? Like that's the kind of goal with this. Like just continue to gain have
the audience tracks Chris's knowledge.
Yes. And week by week, Chris is going to learn and gain knowledge on NFTs as well as our audience. But the thing is, that's what I'm saying. Like the audience can go a step further, and if they do find episode 1 of our like that first question, they can binge watch up to and catch up to where Chris is now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Some people are gonna be faster learners than me. Some people are gonna be slower learners, but
Exactly. And then there will definitely be people who will be even way more interested that will probably do their own stuff, like research and study. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plus, the good thing is once they catch up to me, then we can start bringing on like smarter guests, more niche guests, like things like that.
Exactly.
Because I don't think I know everything, and I think at some point you catch up, and then now it's like you're learning, you're diving deep in.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Let's chat more. I gotta head out a little bit. But this was great. This was awesome. I loved it. This is the type of shit that I like would love to continue to do. You know what I mean?
This is the funnest thing I've done all week.
This is so it's just like just talking to other people about like and just learning about shit. I wouldn't have it any other way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's awesome. But,
that's awesome, man. Let's continue the conversation. I feel like this is a good vibe. Like, yeah.
For some other time for sure. I've got to head out. My brother's coming over soon. So
I've been ignoring my phone, so let me go. So.
All right, guys. What do you guys? All right.
Oh, go ahead. Finish off.
Let's get the communication going, right? Let's like text over and like see where we're at, and then just kind of just fucking shoot the fucking gun.
Yeah, dude. It's all about consistency. Like that's the most important thing to me. Being consistent. I don't give a fuck about anything else. Let's just every single week, let's just make a little bit more progress than we did the last week.
Yeah, 100%. If there's one thing that is going to help us and be on our side, it's consistency. Like that is it. That is the one thing that I feel like anything content based, that's all you need is consistency. You could have like
crap content as long as you're consistent.
As long as you're consistent, somebody's gonna fucking watch it. Someone is going to be invested.
I mean, there's 2 billion people, one person's gonna watch it.
At one point, someone's going to stop being invested of what you're doing instead of they will be invested in yourself. Like that's just how it's going to work. All right, because they've seen so much content around you. They're like, I don't even care what this person does. I'm just so fascinated by just who this person is.
That's why I like to frame myself around problem solving, not just a niche.
That's why I have so much trouble too with like niches and stuff. Like I'm like, I don't know what I want, like my niches.
You have to pick a first principle, like expansible niche. Like that's why like Gary Vee says attention. Every business needs to attract attention. And he just says, I'm good at it. So if you pick something that will be always true in everything, like if you look at all the stuff you've been interested in, what's been true in all of them, pick that. And then that becomes your niche.
Yeah, that's something I have to do is like do a little homework now and figure that out. Because like right now I kind of have just been like, I've just been picking random niches and like, I know I can grow these niches out and then finally like I can eventually get to a point where I can be like, all right, like now these people really aren't invested in that.
Dude, Aman, you grew tens of thousands of followers doing Rubik's Cubes, right?
Yeah.
Fucking Rubik's Cubes, Rob. Like he made like Mona Lisas.
I would make like these like Rubik's Cubes art, and I gained like 70,000 followers. But the thing was like I got so tired of that because that was like painstakingly so much effort because I would sit there for hours solving Rubik's Cube, putting it down. It would be like thousands of Rubik's Cubes that I would do. And then like I was like, there's no way I can sit down for 5 hours continuously just for one piece of content. Like
no, content is your niche. That's it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right. It's just that
content is your niche, dude.
Yeah,
content is your niche. That you make a podcast about content like that is, or like you're about content, and then you show how you can do it in Rubik's Cube, in NFTs, and whatever the fuck you want to do. Now it's everlasting, and then you can go with your interest. If you want to spend 6 months on NFTs and then you get bored of it, you still content is what you're talking about. People are coming to you for your insights on content, not necessarily your insights on NFT. NFT is just the vehicle at the moment that you're focused on, just like Rubik's Cubes were at the moment.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's very interesting. That's why I have so many things like going on in my mind. Like I've actually realized that like no, content is my niche, but
For
And
what?
now I've also understood now after having this conversation is it's not just educating about content, right?
Mhm.
That's what I gotta do, which is yeah, it totally makes sense now.
This is a good place to start. This is an educational content brand.
Because you're right, yeah, that's like that. It literally is. It honestly I wouldn't have come to that conclusion if we didn't have this full-on conversation. Because like I have all these ideas that I've always wanted to do and all this stuff, but at the very end, it's educate and content. That's literally it.
Dude, Rob, did I ever tell you about the bachelor degree?
The what?
Did I ever tell you about the bachelor degree?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Why?
That was me, Abhi, and Aman. We made
Oh, okay.
we made an online dating
I remember. I
brand.
remember you guys.
They were like, Chris and Abby came up to me. They're like, "Hey, can you make this video for us real quick? We need to make it fun and like very interesting." Just like, and I was like, "Huh?" I was like,
No video. We gotta bring that
No,
back.
they're like, "Can you do this in 2 hours?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "Sure, let's fucking do it."
Yeah. So, oh, dude, that was funny. That was funny. But basically,
I'm trying to combine content and educate.
Content 2K. All right.
Wow.
All right. I've got to go, guys.
Yeah, I gotta run too. All right, boys. This has been
Yeah.
fun.
All right. Bye,
See you
guys.
guys on the chat. Peace.
All right. Have a good rest of your weekend.
Thanks, man. You too.